After running for the state Senate in the 1st Hampden, Hampshire district in 2014 and losing in the Democratic primary, Ludlow businessman James "Chip" Harrington is trying again this year. This time, however, he's running as a Republican against first-term Democratic incumbent Eric Lesser. We asked Chip Harrington about his candidacy and changing his political affiliation.
You know, Brian Lees represented this district for a very long time, and Brian Lees was a moderate Republican. You had Mike Knappich, you got Don Humison in the area, and they've been very successful at working with the leadership. And I also think it comes down to an issue of balance. You know, I mean, the legislature is so heavily weighed towards the Democratic side that, you know, it's nice to kind of get some balance occasionally, and, you know, maybe some more moderate Republicans, and I certainly fall in that moderate category, just like, you know, Charlie Baker has done a wonderful job, I think, of making a very fair cabinet. He's got 6 Democrats and 6 Republicans in his cabinet. And, you know, when I looked at him, I felt that this Republican Party, the Massachusetts Republican Party, which I see very differently than the National Democratic Party, is very open to somebody like myself, who's I guess you can say, socially progressive, but certainly fiscally conservative.
You ran last time as a Democrat,
moderate
5-way brutal primary. You were not the winner. If someone were to be kind of cynical, they'd say, well, you come back now, you change your registration as a Republican, you probably don't have to worry about a primary. Republican Party generally being smaller, though, as you pointed out, that is a district that has been represented by Republicans. Right. But you get to go right to November, not have to worry about the interim state. What do you say to somebody who says that?
Well, I first explained my logic. Why did I go from a D to an R? And before the 2014 campaign even got underway, I had a lot of discussion with family and friends about, do I want to run as a Democrat, an independent, or where do I want to go? Because I feel that I'm a lot like everyone else in this, not just the Commonwealth, but the nation, that we kind of feel like we're stuck in the middle. You know, somebody who is fiscally conservative, but, you know, on social issues maybe leans more to the progressive side. In the end, I decided to go as a Democrat, and I stayed a moderate Democrat. In fact, in all my commercials, I said, a good idea is a good idea, regardless of what side of the aisle you come from, and I still firmly believe that. So I ran the entire time as a moderate. I talked about issues like, you know, the minimum wage, where, you know, they were saying, let's raise it to $15 an hour. And I'd say, you know what, I'm a small business owner. I'm fine with raising the minimum wage to make it more affordable for people. But take into account little guys like me. I'm not Walmart. I'm not the big box store. I'm a little guy that has 5 employees. A $15 an hour minimum wage is $23,000 more a year out of my store's pocket. So either as a business owner, I need to lay somebody off, raise my prices, or a combination of both. So there's a real effect there. And when I talked about that in the Democratic circles, it wasn't very warmly received. So after the primary was over, I quickly unenrolled from the Democratic Party. I said, I don't have a place in this party. They've moved so far to the left. I think, and everybody watching national politics now will certainly agree, each party has gone to their polar left and right, when the rest of us is stuck in the middle. So I unenrolled, and I just became an independent. And then when I started, when Governor Baker got elected, I was watching him, and I've been very impressed with how he has handled the state. I thought he's doing a very nice job fiscally, and even on social issues. He's still been very moderate in those issues. And I said, this is kind of a guy that I can associate myself with. And I joined the Republican Party, a Massachusetts Republican, you know, which I think is very different than the National Republican Party. And I feel very much at home here.
When you announced a few weeks ago you were going to run, you told the Republican, you see the quality of life in the Pioneer Valley continuing to deteriorate. What do you mean by that, and what do you think you can do about it?
Well, I think I can do a few things about it. And what I mean by that very specifically is, as a small business owner, I have customers that come in. I don't need to do a poll to tell you that our economy around here is still lagging behind. Boston seems to be doing well. Other areas of the country are doing well. Western Massachusetts, we are slowly making that turn, but it's a very slow turn. Younger families, we're losing population in this area. I've been a member of the school committee for the past 12 years, and our student population is going down because there's less and less opportunity for young families in this district. My nieces and nephews live either in the Boston area or down in New Haven, going more towards New York City. My own son joined the Air Force. He's living in Japan. If he comes back here, not sure what opportunity is going to be here for him. So when I talk about, you know, to continue to watch it deteriorate, that's what I'm referring to. What am I going to do specifically about it? I'm going to use my real life, real world experience. Not only am I a business owner, I'm also a part-time police officer. I've been doing that for many years. My background is in law enforcement as a corrections officer, and I've been doing police work for the past 5 years. So I see the real effects of what's happening on the street with this opioid addiction problem, the heroin that is infiltrating the entire region. I see the real effects. I'm literally in a kitchen talking to a mother while her son has just overdosed in the basement. So I don't need to do a poll or do some kind of a survey to find out what the issues are. I live them every single day. I've been here my entire life. I went to Cathedral High School, then I transferred to Ludlow High School after my dad had lost his job. My wife and I chose to stay here, raise our children here, all publicly school educated, as am I, through Westfield State and University of Massachusetts. So I'm very connected to this district. If you hold a mirror up to me, I look like everybody in this district, and I know the issues here. And we need somebody who's going to be a voice, who's not just going to kind of go along to get along in the legislature. You need somebody who's going to go shake things up and make some noise over there. And I've been doing that on a local level for 25 years. I live here. All I want to do is this job, do the best I can, and then you know what? A few years down the road, let somebody else do it. I'm not a career politician. I'm not looking to be a career politician. I want to do the best thing for this district. I've got the resume for the job. I'm not trying to build a resume.
Well, Chip Harrington, candidate for state senator, thanks for coming in, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.